Good afternoon now. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's weekly research conference. We're honored to welcome Dr. Emilio Alarcon at this hybrid event. We have audience members who are in person in here, Fustanelis, but also audience joining us virtually online. So for those of us in the room, any questions should be just posed using the microphone over there, which I will do my best to turn on prior to engaging in the questions process. And for those of us joining us virtually, please submit your questions using the Q&A feature rather than the chat. The chat is not really monitored, but the Q&A will be. So today, our speaker is Dr. Emilio Alarcon. Emilio requires no introduction, but I'll give very brief outline of everything he's accomplished since he was recruited in 2015 at the Heart Institute. Emilio has a joint appointment primarily with BMI at the University of Ottawa, but also within the division of cardiac surgery. He's been really a champion of not only developing science and thinking outside of the box, but also really being inclusive at the level of the lab and the entire scientific community, if you will. And the talk today will be a testament to that. So I would like to introduce Emilio perhaps in a different manner, rather than have a long list of achievements, most of which you know already. I'll summarize by saying that he's been very successful despite his young age, and recently being promoted to associate professor in the last few years. Has already close to 150 publications, close to $4 million in funding. The rest, you know, he's the head of the bio nanomaterials chemistry and engineering lab upstairs at the Heart Institute, but also at the level of the university. He's also been very successful in developing the BEATS platform, not only with regards to unifying the program together between Dr. Saronen himself and yours truly, as a legacy, if you will, and developing as well a great communication platform in many forms, including the BEATS radio. Emilio has obviously done a lot, but never really stops, and that's a great thing for us at the Heart Institute and for science in general. So in 2021, what Emilio will talk about today is the new strategic direction of constructing a collaborative research and training program, if you will, and applying to that platform via Insert. So Emilio put together a team from University of Montreal, Université du Québec, and of course the University of Ottawa, and they submitted together this INTBIOTECH grant. So interdisciplinary training in biomedical technology, and I think the title really gives it away. And the key here is really to teach students employer-ready skills, making them more attractive for R&D labs in the Canadian biomedical and nanotechnology sector. Also, trainees will benefit from the mentorship given through this multidisciplinary team. So also one unifying aspect of this, and I will stop here and introduce Emilio, is the central part of equity, diversity, and inclusion in this, really with the premise that being more inclusive, especially in the scientific community, such as this one, and a mentorship platform only brings overall great benefit to it. So Emilio, thank you for all you do, and we look forward to your talk today.
So I'm completely blank. Can you see me online? Yes. So I know that the people in here can see me, right? Online, they can see you, right? So, yeah. Okay. I hope yes. So thank you so much for the introduction, Mark. And has been 7 years, a little bit more probably, since the moment you and Eric and Peter and Dr. Mesana actually hired me. And I still remember that this was the room actually I gave the talk, particularly with that little thing I remember, like Hippocrates, and it's really meaningful to be here. So thank you so much. And today I'm going to tell a little bit of a tale of how we came up with this idea. This is not only my idea. I never actually take credit for all the wonderful work we do in the team. We are a team. And, this is, again, extraordinary work done by ordinary individuals who actually came together to try to solve this problem. So the problem that we had, and I realized many years ago, is that we like it or not, underrepresentation of racialized individuals, people with disabilities, women, and many other groups, including LGBTQ+, and remains an issue at post-secondary education level. So we like it or not, we have done a lot, but that is not enough. So for example, when you're thinking about the representation of women in science and STEM, even though that the numbers have increased over the years, we are still below 20% in some particular fields, particularly engineering and mechanical engineering. So, and as you are actually progressing in the career, let's say that undergrad level, so you have something that is called accommodations, right? So maybe some of you are familiar with accommodations, but the word accommodation means that it's not an inclusive system. You wouldn't need accommodation if the system was inclusive by itself, by definition. But we were educated in a system that it was exclusive. It wasn't inclusive. So that's the reason why you need these accommodations. And accommodation is a really ableistic terminology that is somehow putting down or pushing down individuals with differently able. And you have to remember that in average, you have 15% of the population on this planet, they did live with some disability. And less than 2% of them is actually become academics. So that is a big gap. And those groups have been underrepresented by generations practically. So when you're progressing from the undergrad, you notice that at the grad level, there are pretty much no accommodations, and you go to the faculty level, no accommodation, and the industry is pretty much the same. So there are two main issues that we identify while we're actually articulating this, is that you have a not understanding of what really is needed to develop and build a system that is inclusive and the level of training, and also the lack of role models, people who will actually understand what it means to be in a field that 98% of the people, they're not like you. So you need to have that. So the genesis started like that. And many years ago, I sat down and discussed about this with Alison Flynn from the faculty of, I like to call it chemistry, the Department of Chemistry, University of Ottawa. Alison is a wonderful educator. And we came out with this idea that it was funded this year. And it was the first time submission, and it's 100% efficiency. And it took us a while to actually get it together. And the CREATE programs are the Collaborative Research and Training Experience program that dedicated to this, to really generate these groups, interdisciplinary groups, to train the next generation of scientists and different institutions. So we're a group of scientists and educators. This is extremely important. Scientists, they do great science, but scientists, they don't actually all the time, they're really good educators. So we are merging two, the science and education, because to change the way you are teaching people in an inclusive way, you need educators. And the way you are training people in the lab, in an inclusive way, you need scientists. You need both. And not every single educator is a scientist, and not every scientist is an educator. So we have extensive experience in biology, biomaterials, educational research. So the purpose of this program is really bring a different angle of education. And education applied to science, applied to engineering, applied to different fields. So we are interdisciplinary. You will see the pictures in a bit. We have bilingual. Most of us are bilingual. Some of us trilingual, but not my case. We have a really extensive experience in training people from different backgrounds. So what are we doing here? So the main goal is, first of all, we need to restructure the way that academic and professional preparation is done. So let's say you're bringing someone who is neurodivergent, okay, with someone with autism, someone with ADHD, different, neurodivergences. That person needs a different, environment, an ecosystem to really bloom. And then you can you will actually put that person in a productive environment. So with doing that, you will be automatically tackling the different ways that people are learning. We all did learn in a different way, right? So you have to start by that when you're an educator. So you have to be able to really provide the foundation that that person will actually become like, we don't like to call it educated, but it will gain all the skills they need to perform properly in the private sector or in the academic sector. So there is a need for biomanufacturing. Canada, we realized that with the pandemic, we realized all of a sudden that we didn't have biomanufacturing capabilities, right? And the government invested a lot of money, but the issue we have now is that we have not really an ecosystem that is training HQP trainees like you guys for the biomanufacturing system. So because like 2 decades ago, we decided that we don't need biomanufacturing anymore, so let's outsource everything to different countries. I'm not going to name the countries, but you know very well the countries. So now we need the manufacturing back, but for having the biomanufacturing, we have to actually have the people trained to do that. And that is another goal we're doing. But the way we're doing it is not simply use training people in exactly the same way people have been training for the last 20 years, because that doesn't really work. It's not inclusive. So for doing that, and by doing that, we are changing the way that we are recruiting people, the way we are training people, and the way we are actually exposing these individuals to the private sector of the academia. We are aiming to do this by having a little bit of a different recruiting system I'm going to share with you. So what we offer, this is a little bit of what we offer, and we are offering that. So we offer networking opportunities. We offer national internships with the different labs, and also we have partners in the US and Germany. We have a mentorship program that we have developed and somehow pigtailed with the one developed at Research Services at University of Ottawa Institute Research Corporation. So where we have people in the industry, people in working at the government, and also researchers in Canada and abroad. We are developing science communication skills that are extremely important. We learn in a different way. You guys learn a different way. I did it. We have also learning expertise. So as we are teaching, every single course we are going to teach, and we're teaching in the program, it has a feedback system. So we are adapting and we're evolving. We don't want, our team members used to teach exactly the same course they've been teaching for the last 15 years, because it doesn't work that way. Knowledge evolves. We also have, in collaboration with the STEM network, we're working in clinical translation and commercialization skills, that you need to understand the value of the technology before you start developing the technology, right? So you can develop an implant, something that is going to be like the best around the world, but if it doesn't have commercial value, in reality, it's never actually going to see the light in the clinic. Of course, we have professional skill training, and I think it's called soft skills. In reality, they're not soft skills. Hands-on scientific training, and as I mentioned before, networking opportunities as well. So this is what actually the program is offering through different courses and integrated into the different universities we're part of. So the partners, this is some of the partners we have for internships and also collaboration within the team. So we have AVOT Canada, we have Cytolix, Fluid Form, Geneva, Revolution, Starfish, and Berica. We have a number more that they have to confirm that their availability to take interns. We're working with MyTax Canada to really boost this. The idea is if a student is recruited into the program and the student selects to go to the a professional stream, no academic, they will spend time at the company at the end of the program, right? So they will spend 4 months. And if the company is happy with the performance and the student is happy with the company is welcome to retain the students. That was a really big catch for the companies. They will invest a little bit, and MyTax will help us to actually subsidize that. And we have a couple of more companies they need to confirm, but so far just having a bot on board is big. I cannot mention how big it is, but the idea is for the students, if he wants to transition, or if she wants to transition to the private sector, we will actually provide the opportunity to do it. So non-for-profit organization, we have a STEM Network. They are working with us in developing a peptide course where Marcelo, who is here, is going to be leading that initiative. So it's going to be a nationwide training opportunity for people really to come and learn peptide synthesis, which is extremely difficult to do. And companies are really actually looking after, particularly pharma companies. We have the Immigrant International Women in Science, the Ontario Institute for Regenerative Medicine, and Invest Ottawa. They're partners with us. Invest Ottawa is really interested in training people in commercialization skills. Okay, again, commercialization is extremely important in biomedical devices and also biomaterials. And partners, I cannot mention, like University of Montreal, the ETS, the Technique in Quebec. We have HMR, UMass and Lowell in the state, of course, the Harris Institute and University of Ottawa. There are 2 international universities that I need to confirm as well, but at least we will have 3 different places where students they can go and participate and work. And the funding partners, this is funded mostly by NSERC, but with the incredible support of University of Ottawa and University of Ottawa Harris Institute, we were able to pull an envelope in total of around $3 million over, I think, 6 years. So which is amazing, and also contribution to University of Montreal and the ETS. So this is a really ambitious training program. As you can see here, that what we want to do is a transformational change in not only the students we are training, but also impact the training programs our students are part of. And already the Faculty of Medicine is taking the lead on that, and at the University of Ottawa. So this is the website. The website is highly accessible. So, and it was coded from scratch by Constanza. She's a PhD student with us, and she's fully coded from scratch. So it's an amazing website, highly accessible. So you are welcome to visit. And all the cartoons and everything about by Constanza, everything is originally here. So this is, she's an artist and also a great scientist and a coder. So you are welcome to visit, and you have everything you need in there. And the codes at the back and at the bottom, therefore, actually the recruiting process. We have a blind recruiting process. I'm gonna chat about that right now. So we have a social media presence. We're still, young in here, and hopefully Elon Musk is not gonna censor us. This is still, we have very few followers. So, but you can check some of the news we have in there. So the recruitment process is a little bit different from the recruitment process from universities, right? So we have priority recruitments that are indigenous people, visible minorities, persons with disabilities, and women. That's our target. And we have a blinded process where the pre-selection pool doesn't have names, doesn't have genders, doesn't have anything. So it has pretty much what do you want to actually become part of the team? And we're asking people to complete a brief form, like really brief, with the interest and why. The importance is the why. And team members are really sensitive to language barriers as well. Not everyone who came to Canada is able to speak the language. When I came to Canada, I learned the language in here, English. So we are really sensitive to that. So then the selection pool is managed at a level with 100% confidentiality by our, project manager. And each team member receives a certain number of CVs, or like we call it applications. So when those are actually selected, let's say out of 10, you pick 2 or 3, then it's an invitation process where we have also a standardized CV, so people will apply under exactly the same conditions. And we have been very successful in doing that, and we have diversified quite a lot. The program is relatively new, and the website took us a while to put it up, but everything is standardized. And of course, we have also EDI, and EDI is based on equity, diversity, and inclusion, but based for each different group. So the diversity, we want to have a diverse composition of the team for each one of the team members, right? For example, the cohort of people we have in here in my team is completely different than the one I have in Montreal. We are okay with that as long as there is diversity within the team. And of course, we have co-supervisor activities. I'm a chemist by training. But some people will say I'm not a chemist because I'm not really good at synthesis, but my background is industrial chemistry. So when I'm supervising someone, it has to be in engineering and biology and different fields. So this is all by Irene. She's fantastic at doing this, and everything has different stages and different thresholds. We are making this open access available to anyone in Canada. This is a policy we have. All the material generated in our training program is going to be open access through Ontario, Ontario Learning Platform, because we want people to copy our model. And as we are developing this, we're getting information because we're scientists, right? So, but in reality, what we want to do here is to diversify from the very beginning the pool of applicants, right? This is the very first stage. So you are recruiting these individuals from different backgrounds. Then when they are part of the team, we have to give them the tools. We have to give them the support. It's not just about hiring diversity. It's about supporting the diversity, because otherwise you're just doing the same that have been done for the last 20 years. It's not like in Canada, we don't bring the immigrants in here and we let them be alone. No, we are supporting them through the process. And this is exactly the same we're doing here with the training program and all the recruitment process. So again, we have an interview guide, we have everything standardized, and that's been a monumental amount of work of the team, particularly led by Irene. So everything is standardized. So the applicants, they will get feedback if they were not selected, and they're welcome to reapply, right? So this is really democratizing and making clear why and what are the guidelines for actually having people joining us in the team. And the researchers, I wouldn't be able to do this without this amazing team of people. So you have in here Alison Flynn. This is your humble person in here speaking, Emilio. And you have Suresh Gade from University of Ottawa, May Griffith from University of Montreal, so Sophie Laroche from the ETS, Sedge from also University of Montreal, Kathy Rayner from University of Ottawa, Titus Cayano from University of Ottawa, Adam Schuhandler, I'm able to pronounce his last name now, from University of Ottawa, Duncan, of course, from University of Ottawa, and Eric, also from University of Ottawa. So this is a really diverse team of people, and what is in common here is that from the starters, all of them, they have a really diverse cohort of students in their team, right? And somehow we're not all connected, but we are all looking into changing the way that we're training people. No, it's not only, again, about bringing people to Canada from diversity, backgrounds. It's about supporting them. So they will, if they want to go to academia, it's fine. If they want to stay with they want to go to the industry, that's fine too. But we have to be able to really provide them and get them ready as we can. It's a really inclusive program. So, but again, this is just part of the team. We have a number of collaborators, and we are missing in here Michelle Campbell. She has been instrumental from research services to assemble all the EDI strategy that we are implementing in the program. And I have to say that I don't want to brag, but I took all those pictures with the exception of the picture of myself because I cannot take pictures of myself. So, and a little bit of, I'm not sure if it's going to play properly, but
professeure au département de génie mécanique à l'ETS et directrice du laboratoire de biomatériaux ici au centre de recherche du CHU. Je suis également professeur associé à l'Université de Montréal au département de radiologie. My research activities, my main expertise in biomaterials, and my research is aiming to develop an
I recorded the videos. I did all the editing, but we have a professional, editor to do the beginning at the end.
Very multidisciplinary research in collaboration institutions to make sure that we meet the technical needs, but also with industries to make sure that we can easy translation. In particular, we develop hydrogels for cell therapy, bioprinting, and system engineering applications. Le but pour moi, c'est de m'assurer que l'égalité des chances est un traitement équitable pour tous. Et c'est surtout une occasion incroyable de faire bénéficier la société et la recherche de la multiplicité, de la diversité des genres, des religions, des langues, et des races. Et je pense que c'est vraiment comme ça qu'on peut bâtir une société plus forte et une recherche d'activité plus réussie.
The slide. I have to say that I do one. So we have our friend Duncan Stewart too. So we have videos for every one of the team members. I spent a month doing this. I travel all over the town and in Montreal.
And then that's a so everyone is interested in progress. So my research really involves ways to compare and generate tissue stem cells, genes, and some stem lines. And so it's focused on looking into that gene modifying stem cells, preparing but my real passion is in developing and live in a very diverse academic situation. I think we should be celebrating one of the great strengths in Canada is that there are so many people from different backgrounds in our community. And this is something that really provides us the opportunity to see things different. I think it's so important when we analytics research, which is all about asking questions, all about challenging the job. And I think different perspectives different backgrounds are people.
So if you saw me at some point with a big chest, black chest, plastic throwing around, that was all my camera, gear that I have in there. But again, so the idea for us is to have this, to really bring the researchers closer to the applicants and also tell a story that is beyond like science, right? Why EDI is important for them and why we need that. We need more of that. We're doing fantastically well compared to 10 years ago, actually, but there is a lot ahead to do. So some of the training, so we have done like together with May Griffith, we have been doing this for a while, teaching people how to write a scientific paper, like for free. And it's like what May said, that we use because we like teaching. So we did this, and we're going to be doing this probably twice a year from now on, either with May Griffith or with someone else within the team. So we have around 100 and something attendees. So last year we have 250, but we decided just to reduce the number. And last week we have the first graphic design for scientists. Graphic design is really important. You had seen, some of your PIs probably when they come to you, like, look at my figure, it's so good. And you look at that, it's like all ugly, like things like that. Well, we're doing we're training a student from the very beginning, right? So they understand the concept of color combination, design, font size, and so on. And we had the fortune to have Christian Salcer from Montreal. He came and he gave a wonderful workshop on a Saturday. And everyone was really excited. So we have over 100 and something attendees. So the room was packed, was full. And I think that when they left, they learned quite a lot. And that is something that is transforming too. So this was open to trainees from the CREATE program, but also to graduate students at the University of Ottawa and some TMM students. So it was full, and there is an appetite for that. And our program is going to provide that training opportunities. So for next summer, we have the summit. The first one is going to be on June the 7th and the 8th. And we have, Dr. Adam Feinberg that is coming. Adam is one of the leaders in the world of 3D bioprinting. He just printed a full-size heart, and it's amazing what he's doing, volumetric bioprinting. He has published in Science, Nature many times. And he's a really good friend, and he's also the developer of Fresh, which is the next platform for bioprinting in situ organs. So Adam is coming, and I'm trying to engage him to hold a seminar and a workshop so we can have bioprinters built in Ottawa. So if labs they want to actually have a bioprinter, they can come to the workshop and they can leave the workshop with a bioprinter. So I'm trying to convince him and to try to find also sponsors to get this done. Bioprinting is expensive, right? But the most expensive part of the bioprinting is a bioprinter. It can go for $25,000–$50,000. And with Adam, he's already doing that in the States. You can get a bioprinter for $3,000, $4,000 or less. So, but again, I need to find, like some sponsors to help us with this. And more than happy to answer questions, but I cannot leave without thanking Irene. She has been instrumental in getting this to actually action. This is Irene. She's fantastic. She's really humble, and she doesn't like to be called doctor, but she has a doctorate. And she's certainly the engine of the CREATE program, and standardizing the protocols and really selecting great candidates. So we are really happy. And I think up to date, we have probably 7-8 students already. And they're part of the training program. We are aiming to have over 100 students, or 120 students over 6 years, or even more if we get more money. So the idea for us is to train the next generation of biomedical scientists and innovators, but helping to diversify really the field, which is still dominated by white male. So, but without any further ado, so I want to thank you and happy to take any questions.
This great presentation, and again, congratulations on your programmatic grant. And At this point, I don't see questions from the audience, but I would welcome you to send some. And we have this young investigator here who would like to ask a question.
Thank you so much. I think it's all right with the mic here. Great job there, Emilio. As always, very informative and great to hear you talk about very important aspects. I was wondering, with regards to the biomanufacturing aspect of training, one of the things that kind of like defaults in academia is that it benefits the PIs, the principal investigators, to have the trainees follow the type of career path that they're most familiar with. And to that extent, I was wondering, how can the PIs sort of expand their training to include this different type of like professional biomanufacturing type of aspect of career that is different from what they know and what they're used to teaching, and how can they be very diversified in their approach to training, and if there's a way to go about that?
So the main thing that companies are looking into when you're thinking about manufacturing is GMP manufacturing, right? So good manufacturing practices and manufacturing of devices or technologies for using humans. And that is part of what May Griffith will be training students in Montreal. So the idea is to have the students use a couple of weeks in there. They will be trained in a pre-GMP facility that it will certify them to really manufacture that down the road. But in Ottawa, I'm trying to bring one GMP chamber that is abandoned technically at main campus to have it in here in place, so we can train students to do that GMP manufacturing. So when you train students and you have the PIs observing how the GMP manufacturing works, it changes, right? Because, for example, I can do a lot of chemistry and assemble materials with chemistry, but if that chemistry is not suitable or compatible with GMP, that is not going to be translated to the clinic, because companies are going to look at that and say like, yeah, no, you cannot do it. And or you simply, as we normally do it in the lab, we check FDA products that are actually banned by the FDA. You have to do all the training, and you have to be able to incorporate the training into the scientific mentality of PIs. And luckily, everyone involved in the creatives, they're really aware of that. But the idea is that it will somehow resonate within the field. Normally in the CREATE programs, you see that the core members, and then you have new add-on, like early career researchers, student, PIs at NRC, PIs working in, like private sector. So the idea for us is to provide that platform, but we need to make sure that the students are trained at GMP. Those who want to be trained, because some of them, they don't want to be trained, that's fine too. But some jobs openings, they do ask if you have training in GMP, and that automatically increases your value for the market.
And my question is more about the process that you have when it comes to recruitment. So I understand your platform is inclusive, but sometimes what we struggle with is like spreading the word to people. Like, how do you let a diverse group of people know that your platform exists so that they can then apply?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's inclusive, but not really inclusive. I have to be honest with you. For example, that we're still troubleshooting the compatibility with the reading devices. So when you have visually impaired, you have a software that is reading. So we're still troubleshooting that. And also down the road, we want to expand it also to have people submitting videos applications, so audio, right? If you are, neurodivergent, most of us, we have issues with writing. So we want to remove as many barriers as we can. But in terms of explaining the word, it remains a problem. We are partnering with the International Immigrant Women Association. We also have connections with 2 organizations of Indigenous peoples in Montreal. but it's difficult. I think that what we need to do, we are trying to build trust to start with, because many initiatives have been actually latched on diversifying the ecosystem, but very few actually are able to make it. So what we want to do is the first year is just building trust, and then we can show some evidence and to engage more partners down the road. And there is a Canadian Disability Association of Academics too. So, but they were really clear to me that said, like, they want to see some evidence first, and then we will actually have a discussion. But we're really conscious about that. The diversifying, the spreading the word is important, but also diversifying the way we are doing the recruitment as well. And that is something that CHR is going to be pushing really soon.
Yeah, I think it's important that we try to convince people as well, like make them believe that they can join our team. And like, it doesn't matter if you're different, like you belong here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Presentation.
Thank
so
you.
How these programs wants to, or will try to transfer this knowledge of being good mentor, and not many mentors things like mentoring is like, okay, develop my research and I will make you great.
Yeah,
that's not the idea. The idea is to try to get the best from the people, what the people want in the future, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you join labs, people find that their supervisors are worse than Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
So it's how this program will try to achieve that in the future, so other PIs or other supervisors can realize that maybe good mentoring has another skills they need to be trained.
Yeah. So, you know, we are, thanks to Alison Flynn, we are collecting data at each one of the points, right? So the mentorship program that is, you know, thanks to the University of Ottawa Hart Institute Research Corporation, Research Services, actually, we are implementing that in a way we are monitoring, closely monitoring the mentor and the mentorship, the mentee and the mentor. And that takes time, but also we have names of people that are actually referred by others that are good mentors. And we're trying to make sure that we are matching the right people, right? Because particularly when you have individuals from racialized, you know, like underrepresented or racialized, let's say that way, communities, I mean, it's not exactly the same. You know, like, for example, if you're an immigrant in Canada, you would like to have an immigrant, someone who really understands. You know, when you're thinking about the work-life balance and stuff, for immigrants, we need to work more. And it's something that is embedded in our culture, right? So if you have someone who doesn't understand that, it's going to say you have to work less. And then you're going to stay home, you're going to feel, you know, guilty. So you have to have someone that is able to understand not only the science, but also the person. And that is really difficult to find, but we're in conversation with CBS Canada to try to somehow latch from them to try to do this co-mentorship program. But we will monitor that. And also mentorship is a learning experience, and it's difficult, right? So, because the one thing I have learned through my mentor is that you give advice and the mentee, he will make the call. You cannot tell anyone to do something that you think that is good for that person. You have to feel comfortable making your own decision, but you're totally right. So, and it's something that we have been working really hard with research services to try to launch something as the trainees are coming in a way that the trainee feels confident with this. And also when you have newcomers to Canada, you know, and like, remember, like in Chile, we don't have that mentorship thing. Like you're thrown to the lions, like, good luck, you see you the other side. And it's something that is also a cultural change. And we need to make sure that people that they're confident with that.
Thank you very much, Emilio. I'm not saying my mentor is bad, but yeah, it's really important that I hope that can be spread to other mentors.
My pleasure, Marcelo.
Mark, there are questions online.
Yeah.
I can actually activate the microphone for
Yeah,
for
I
Rob.
think Rob Beanlands wanted to ask a question.
Okay, I think that you have to mute Rob.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, great presentation. Thank you, Emilio, and congrats on all the tremendous work that you do. And you do make us proud every day. I wanted to come back to the program, the EDI program, which is really great, the way you've embraced this and are trying to implement this. The things I want to ask are, I'm sure it's true for Mark and other investigators and PIs that we get applications from people from all over the world a couple of times a week. I want to try to understand how you kind of sift through that. If you've opened it up in this way, if you open it up to the world, you're going to get sort of inundated with different potential applicants. This is what I potentially anticipate. So basically, I'd like to understand how you manage that and make selections. And then as well with selection, are you doing this, and you may have covered this, but just to understand, are you doing this as a group of people? And how you because it's also advised that not only do you have a wide view, array of applicants that help to balance your EDI of the applicants, but how do you do that for the selection committee? And then I have a follow-up question to that.
So
First is how you deal with the massive number of applicants, and then how you balance the selection in the committee and so on.
So the first part, the way using the blind selection process, it filters out those applicants that you sending massive emails, right? So because there are companies in, like in different countries, they do that. You can pay someone and they will do it for you. Send emails to every single PI. But when you have the blind process, we have the first selection layer, is you're really filtering out to those who really understand the research of each one of the PIs, because each PI, they have a different, code system. And let's say if they want to come and work with Eric, they have to understand what Eric is doing. And we are getting we are emphasizing our colleagues that they don't have to judge individuals by their language capabilities. So I think it's something they will learn when they come to Canada. But automatically you filter out by that. What some of our colleagues are doing is when they're getting these CVs, they say, like, you can apply to this blind process, they send the link. And you will be surprised that most of the time they don't do it, because it's not actually the applicant doing that, it's not someone else, a third party. And when that is selected, let's say you have, one PI got 20 applications in a month. So Irene collects all those 20 applications and send it to the PI. And what the PI does is just filter them out together with a selection committee. They have each lab, they have a selection committee that it has a representation also from students, normally it's the lab manager. And they decide, okay, we're going to interview these 2 or 3 people, and they send it back to Irene, and Irene will actually set it up all the, like the meetings and so on. But at every stage, we make sure that there is representation, not only of the PI, but also from, like the co-supervisor and also team representatives of the lab. It takes a lot more time. But as you are filtering out from all those 100 initial potential applicants to like 20 or 10, it takes a lot less, because you will complete the blind process only if you really want to join the lab. And, it happens probably to you too. So sometimes you get an email directed to someone else, and you clearly notice that this person is just sending emails to everyone. Yeah. So the blind process means you don't know the origin of the individual. Is that right? Or origin, gender, race, you don't know that. But you may surmise from their CV and other information where they're coming from. So originally you don't get the CV. So you get just it's like we call it the letter of intent, right? So what do you want to come to the team? What do you want to actually be part of the team? Yes. And in there they have to demonstrate that they have, at least they have read some of your papers, right? And then you will make the call. Yeah. Right. So the other side of that is the selection. So the selectors, are they also of diverse background? Yes. And so not to pick on Eric, but let's say Eric's lab, would there be a woman to balance out the gender difference in trying to judge those applicants? That's one example. Yeah, it could be, or someone who identifies as a woman, and like
Yes, gotcha. Yeah,
yeah, or like if you have like use males, that it could happen, and also someone with a diversity, ethnicity,
Yeah.
heritage, or something like that.
Yeah.
We're really open to that, and the good part is that as the blind process is filtering out all the gender component, you get out of the way for that, and then when you go to the interview stage, if the applicant wants to disclose the gender or not, and then you find out that you are only interviewing males, and you realize that you need more diversity in your team of women, then like you have to actually revisit again the pool application. But this is done on a monthly basis, so
Yeah.
this is a humongous amount of work that Irene is doing for every single PI.
Yeah. Okay, great. Congrats on it. It's a really a big step forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Taking it on.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. So we
Emilio,
have,
there's one question from Rebecca Thornhill. I don't know if perhaps I can read it. Thank you for the tremendous talk. It's so important for the next generation. Does the program include separate tracks for those who wish to integrate and work directly with industry and those who would like to stay on an academic track? For instance, could a recent master's grad get involved with industry partners without enrolling in a PhD? Congrats again on this.
yes, so I mean, that is the idea. So when the student is recruited, he will automatically receive a survey that is we call it the welcome survey, but it's a one-to-one meeting with the supervisor and also with myself or Irene, and we get information. We want to actually gather information, and the student interest is more on the research development, like a private sector, or is more on the academia, and then it's put into one of the streams. So, and we're okay with that. I mean, all the participants on this, they're totally open to that, and that's the reason why it gained the funding. Actually got the funding because we are preparing HQP to go to the private sector, and skills like, for example, like conflict, dealing with conflicts, difficult conversations, time organization, time management, project management. Those things are normally not taught at the university level, but we're incorporating that in the training program, which are really highly sought after, like companies. And, when Marcelo is we are able to launch the nationwide training in peptide synthesis, I'm pretty sure that's going to be full in 2 days. And that is an also highly actually sought skill by the private sector. So those are the skills we're incorporating, and we are open to have students trained to go to the industry, which is, it seems paradoxical, right? But if we leave all the training of HQP to go to the private sector, to colleges and things like that, we're really defeating the purpose. So there is not enough room in the academy for everyone.
Emilio, thank you. I think we'll take one last question.
Yep.
From Bahere Taji, who indicates, by the way, I am the artificial intelligence engineer of the Hart Institute. The question is, I was wondering if you have any data analysis or artificial intelligence related activities.
So what are we expecting to have is a lot of data. We're going to have a lot of data. So, and that is something that we probably will need help with that data scientists to really analyze it properly. But artificial intelligence, we didn't merge it in now, but certainly something that we're exploring in the material science. And hopefully when the new CFI funded peptide facilities that Marcelo is leading is in place, we're going to have the capabilities of synthesizing thousands of peptides a week, and we'll have a lot of room in there for doing artificial intelligence. But it's something I think for Marcelo to lead down the road. Good.
This is great. On this, I want to thank you, Emilio, and all of you online and in person for your wonderful participation, and obviously, Emilio, for your leadership in this and many other fields. And you make us proud, and the whole team, as you would say, makes us proud, because I think we're in a good place, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
Much to your point, but I think we're at least we have a strong will to make this happen. So
yes.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.